Hello again, it's Noob, and in this video I'm just going to do a quick overview of how we can take the Lockmaster EDC folding lockpick card from Wendt, which I made in collaboration with them, and convert it into its folding lockpick design, this little EDC keychain folding lockpick, which has of course a hook and a rake, so you can swap those over into whichever one you want to use when you are picking. So you just convert it like that, slide it over, that's your rake, and then you can just pull that out and disconnect it, and then do something like that, and then you've got your hook. Yeah, so how do we go from this to this? Obviously you can just use these as finger picks as they are, with the tension tools that come with it, but this is its more enduring format, I guess, and this is a really nice little tool. So let's go through how you take this and go to this. The set will come with some little instructions with the exploded view there, so you can see how it will be assembled. It comes with 2 packs of screws, which gives you a spare screw should you lose one, or I don't know, just the packs come as 2 screws. You can buy spares as well on the Wendt website, and it comes with a keyring. So we won't need the keyring till later. We will need to have these screws. Very, very highly recommended. Not a sponsor, but whatever thread locker you like to use, I've chosen a low strength one because I've found that you don't need anything more, but you can choose whatever you feel comfortable with. It definitely says here that you should make sure that you don't over tighten anything and that you use a thread locker, so you would avoid the screws coming loose, and you know, you don't want to do that. You don't want to lose any of these screws. You want this to be a nice enduring keychain lockpick. So yeah, you'll need some thread locker, you'll need a screwdriver, and if you want to take care of any of the little attachment points like that, then a file or some sandpaper will be really handy as well. So you really don't need very much. You just need some form of abrasion. I've chosen a little file, some thread locker, the screws come in the kit, and a screwdriver. I will be working on just a piece of rubber, but any kind of soft work surface is good for attaching those screws. So let's get on with it. So I have the card, have the screws, and if you want to see me using this as either just the finger picks on their own or as the assembled folding lockpick set, then do go check out my most recent video on that. I'll try to leave a link below. Okay, so let's break this apart, and this is really easy to break apart. It doesn't come apart in the wallet, but it doesn't take very long to disassemble. Now just make sure that you don't get rid of these little bits here. You might want to keep hold of them on these pieces, just so you don't lose them if you're using these as finger picks, but these are very important little spacers. You do not want to lose those. These bits of metal, well, you could fashion them into maybe a top of the keyway tensioner if you put a bend in it or something, but that's not what this is designed for. And there's very little, I mean, there really is very little kind of waste in this design at all. So little waste, which is great actually when you think about it. And yeah, just break these apart like that. Now, if you want to, you can see these tiny little bits left over from how everything's drawn together. You can spend some time just filing these off if you like, to your satisfaction. You can use a bit of sandpaper, emery board, anything like that can get rid of these. It really doesn't take long, and I won't spend a lot of time on camera filing away because it's not very interesting and it's quite loud and annoying, but we will come on to that, and you'll need to do the same thing for this as well. Do you need to do it? Well, I mean, it's not that sharp. This is such a small amount of metal left over, but I do think that if you're going to have it as a nice keychain piece, spend a few minutes, you know, before you assemble it, just making sure that all your little tabs are filed down, sanded down if you like, and you know, spend a few minutes doing that. It really doesn't take long, and the results will just be more pleasing to you, and you know, these little bits won't catch in your pocket if you throw your keys in your pocket or anything like that. So yeah, just worth spending some time with all of these, just filing down these little tabs. Okay, I'll do that and then I'll come back. just because I can, I'm going to just rub the edges with a little bit of a 800 grit wet and dry paper as well, just to get a really nice finish. Completely optional. You can go as far as you want with this. You can polish all the edges, anything you want really. It's entirely up to you. And once you've finished these off to whatever degree you're satisfied with, then we can start to assemble the whole folding lockpick. And there is an exploded diagram to show you exactly how you would do that. So just sort of assemble all the pieces in that way. You will of course need to now access the screws. What's really nice is there are actually spares. There's a spare set of screws, so these come in two parts. There's the screw part and the male part and the female part there that you can see. So just put those there. We'll grab this and do the same thing, just empty these out. It's always best to keep one of these. Hopefully you're going to choose a suitable thread locker, but if for some reason you lose one of these, or you, I don't know, I don't know how you would lose it, but just keep a spare. It always helps. So yeah, I'm just following this card. I'm going to basically put everything around so that it looks just like this. So that little cutout there goes facing down and to the left, because there is a difference in spacing between the screw holes. Same with the pick tools themselves. They need to go along this way, so basically facing up like that. And it doesn't matter which way round you do it. You can have the rake on the bottom, hook on top. It really won't make a difference. And just have those here. You have your spacers ready like that, and really that is all the pieces. There's not much to it, but it works so well. And then you just need to take these female parts of the screw sets like that and just pop them underneath where the holes in one of the scales is like that, and rest it like this. Then take your two pick tools and just lay those with like that, so that you can see here, if I bring it up close to the camera, only this one on the far left in the orientation I have it goes in the slot where these picks run through. Then you put your spacers, very important, really important, these two, just there on the third screw, because if you don't, then you'll basically have a weird like tapered set, and it'll pinch and you won't be able to get the pick tools in and out properly. And it's relatively stable like that. I'd suggest having a soft work surface instead of a hard one to work on. And then you just pop the second scale on top, and that should be a really nice fit. Now in terms of screwdrivers, I've got something which is about the right size, and that'll just make sure that you don't mar the slot in the screws. You don't want to do that. You want this to look nice, don't you? So again, I'm just going to pop this in and then try to turn it a couple of times using my fingertip. Easier said than done, just because it's easier to sort of get it in and tighten it to what you want. But before that, sorry, I forgot. Before we then put the other screws in like that, you'll probably want to apply some thread locker, and I have some here, and I always tend to overdo it. So I have a piece of tissue and a cocktail stick as well, so I can try to make sure that I'm applying a small amount. You really don't need very much of this stuff at all. You really don't. So just apply a bit in. It's probably too much that I've applied, but you only need a tiny amount. You can always, again, use the thread locker of your choice, not sponsored in any way by Loctite, and just, you can always soak up a little bit of the excess using some tissue and wipe it away later anyway. But you really don't need too much of it. But it's really important that you, if you're going to have like a nice permanent pick set, then you want to make sure you actually have some thread locker. Going to try to just pop these screws in a couple of turns with my finger, and then it'll be a lot easier then to tighten to the right amount. And then we just have to sort of let the thread locker go off and cure, which I don't believe takes very long. Like that. Then over here like this. And you know, take your time on this. I'm rushing a little bit, but you don't have to. There's the spare screw set. Keep that probably together somewhere safe. The Wendt do sell spares of this, so you'll be all right either way. And then what I'd do is I would just tighten this down. You don't need to over tighten it. It basically just so it holds and that it feels like it's gripping lightly the pick tools. Okay, that is the key thing. You need to be able to get the tools in and out, but you want them to have a tiny bit of resistance at the same time, so it's not all sloppy and rattling about. So I think that feels about right. You can see that those spacers there are doing their job. There's a little bit of excess thread locker around this screw here, which I can just sort of wipe away like that. Again, you can do that a bit later. I believe it needs a lack of oxygen to cure. So it's where the threads have screwed in and it remains liquid otherwise. But let's just have a feel about how that feels. So you don't want it too tight, you can't pull this out. That feels maybe a tad too tight. You see I'm not able to just retract the pick tips very easily. So let's loosen up one of the screws a little bit here, like that. Try again. If that doesn't do it, just go along and just loosen off another one. And then hopefully, there we go, that feels good. Again, maybe a little tight, but I'd rather it be on the tighter end than the loose end. Hear that little click? That means that probably this end's a little tight too, so I'm going to back that off a tiny amount. That means that when we slide this in and out like that, we can get the two tips together and they go in nicely. And I think that is a nice amount of resistance. Maybe a tad more on this end, like that. That's how we go. Yeah, you can add a little bit of machine oil to this if you want once it's all fully cured, but I think that that feels nice. It doesn't feel too loose, doesn't feel too tight. Maybe a tiny touch more tight like that. And you want to then, once you're happy with the amount of resistance that this is giving you and that it can fold back in on itself, test the fit to the center screw where that little cup engages. Should feel nice. And then, yeah, just leave it to cure in the fully closed position like that. I think that's a decent amount of tightness. I don't want any more. If you pour loads of thread lock over it, then you might need to push the picks out a little bit if it all glues it together. But that, to me, feels just about right. So I'm going to let that thread locker cure and then we can come back to it in a minute. And there we are. I mean, really, this took such a negligible amount of time, a matter of minutes to go from a credit card format to a folding pick set. I mean, you don't even have to spend as long as I did just polishing up the edges. You can leave it as it is if you want, but definitely use the thread locker. You know, just make sure you dial in that tightness as well, because it really helps keep it all kind of like tidy and together as well. And yeah, we can just make sure it all folds back together. Use it as a nice hook like that, or if you want, you can just swap it over and get our rake out and slide that in as well. Or you want to fold it away, then just unhook it. I would always suggest that you pull the tools out together when you fold it back like that. Make sure it's all nice and tidy, and then get the ends in and make sure it's all nice and tidy. Push all of that down, and yeah, you can then stick it on your key ring like this to keep it all sort of locked in together. I've got the turning tools on here as well. I prefer to actually carry them in my wallet, but I was showing you that you can actually put these onto a keychain like this, or key ring like this, should I say. Make sure I get my get these on the thing like that, and then there you go. So yeah, you can have your folding pick set all locked away on your key ring just like that. And now you've got something which is, I think, really nice. I think it looks really great. It's nice and compact. It's extremely functional, and it's better than sort of having a load of loose picks, I think, at the very least. So hopefully that's a really nice, easy guide to that Lockmaster EDC folding lockpick card from Wendt. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed and think that you want to see more content like this, then hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Otherwise, stay safe, happy picking, and I'll see you all next time.